Hey everybody, welcome to the Combo Wombo podcast. I am Mr. Gimpy, and next to me here, as always, is Chipped Monk. What's going on, brother?
Hey, what's going on, dude? We're out here studying advanced field electronics and mectronics, bro. We're trying to get up to advanced and mid-tier, bro. What's going on with you?
You know, that's like, I don't even know how to respond to that. Man, I'm doing great. Today, marks the 25th episode, season finale. We did it, man. We did it.
I was watching 25 years of NWO in the background to get ready.
There you go.
Finally made it.
From the Outsiders to the NWO to the destruction of the WCW, man. That's the route we're on.
We're rise and fall and then rise again.
We're on the uptick right now. We're on the uptick. And then like 25 more episodes from now, you're not gonna want me to talk at all. You're just gonna
gonna sign your contract. You just gotta show up.
Exactly.
In my contract, it just says I have to. What is that? Was there like a NFL player who was like that with his contract? He was like, I'm just showing up just for my contract. That's it.
Ocho Cinco. I'm pretty sure.
There's a couple of them, I think.
Pretty sure,
yeah. It's my contract. I'm just here for my contract.
Beast mode. Said that. He's like, I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yeah, I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yeah,
it's gonna be like you in like 25 more episodes when we blow up. You'd be like, I'm just here because of my contract. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
We both have the Allen Iverson thing right now. Remember when we first started, how we'd be like, okay, what are we gonna say? What are we gonna do? Now we're both just like, practice? You talking practice? Not a game. Practice, just straight. Exactly, man.
We're already at it, man. We're at the big show. There's no more practice.
What a long, strange road it's been. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so before we started recording this, man, I went back and looked at the first two episodes.
Right.
And this was pre-mug, pre-new logo.
Damn it,
It's there. It is. There's nothing. Did you put the pinky out?
No, I'm not fake drinking like you.
No, there's coffee in here. There's coffee.
Straight vodka in mine.
You can see it. Oh, straight vodka. Yeah. See, I have coffee in mine.
There's different ways to get the morning going.
That's true. But let's start here. What have you been up to this week, man? We'll get to this. We got a lot to talk about.
Been, just going to work, living.
Yeah, this is your first full week back from your 2-week vacation, right? Or week and a half vacation?
Yeah, and I had to take off Monday. So, I did doing it big. You're like, oh yeah, it was a fucking, sometimes you have a rough start to the week.
That's true.
I don't know,
That's
everything got kind of fell into place. I got a lot of stuff done at work. Feeling pretty good about it. I like it because I got two really good coworkers now, and before they got hired, I did do all 3 of our jobs. It was one of those things.
Yeah.
So you kind of internalize don't go on vacation because when you there's just too much shit to do. So now I can go on vacation, I come back and everything's just done. And that's nice. It feels like magic. It feels like there's little gnomes that do the work for me while I'm gone enjoying myself.
It's crazy, right? Yeah. Yeah, that was my last job, man. Whenever I took a vacation, I came back to double or triple work. And my last job is when I was at when I had both kids. And with each birth, the first, when my daughter was born, it was fine because I just started that job. But then when my son was born, I was higher up, and no one knew how to do my job, despite me leaving notes on how to do it. So when I came back 3 months later, the work was there. I'm like, what the fuck? How do you get away with this? So, yeah. So it's definitely nice. My new gigs like that, where everyone just does their work. It doesn't matter who's doing it. Everyone's just work needs to be done. It's done. So yeah, I 100% get that, man. How about for sure. How about the gaming front? Any updates
on Generic Quest?
On Generic Quest, or anything you're playing now on the Series S?
I've been playing a Series S. Like, so generic quest, I got a little bit further. I don't know how much further I've gotten since last week. I think it kind of comes in ebbs and flows. Where I'm at the point where I'm working on the final boss and like the AI for the boss, and I tried to use like a behavior tree, and that didn't work because of how behavior trees work in Unity. Like, it doesn't like. I don't know if it's Unity. I don't know if it's how I'm putting it on behavior. It's boring. It's a little technical, but it's broken as fuck. That's the long
I
short
didn't
of
mean
it.
to yawn there. It's just coincidence.
No, no, yeah, okay, sure. Uh, so yeah, it's busted AF, as the kids say. So I just started writing a script directly onto the boss because I'm like, it's not like I have to repeat this behavior over a bunch of instances. So I'll just have it be on one object. So I
Yeah.
started doing that, and then the animations got all fucked up. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna take like a week break because I don't want to fucking deal with reassigning bones and stuff. I don't know what's going on here.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. I was
Ouch.
like, I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm not going to deal with it. You know what that is? That's future me problems. To me, I'm just going to sit around chilling. And so I got Crowfall. It's like a MMO game.
Yes.
I wouldn't call it an RPG, but it has RPG elements.
It's
Uh,
PvP focused, right?
it's supposed to be, but not really. Like, it's kind of like there's like a lot of capture the flag maps and stuff, and nobody really gives a shit though. Like, there's not enough people on it for that content to be compelling, if that makes
Ah,
sense.
okay, okay. They're
I think
they're searching for the old lineage crowd, right? Like with the PvP and looting systems. Am I right on that? It seemed
I would
like it
think
from the
so. Yeah,
yeah.
because like when you die, you drop your money.
Episode
You can
15 MMOs.
yeah, you decapitate people. You can run their pockets. Like, you lose durability on a lot of items. I would hope that like actual like stuff drops, but I would say it's missing like basic stuff, like some basic functionality to make it a more compelling game, like an auction house. So like that's pretty big. Like, they kind of want you to go out there and like grind materials to craft out like better equipment to go PvP, but I'm not gonna fucking do that. So I'd like to just buy like the materials, but nothing like these all sell all that shit at like a ridiculous price. Like, it's like 5x inflation or whatever. But there's no auction house to like equalize that, where it's like, oh yeah, wouldn't mind like a place where people could, focus on crafting if that's how they enjoy things.
Right.
Whereas I enjoy like PvPing, so I'd like to go do that. And like, we had some really good success. We're in like a noob zone, and like beat up like 5 or 6 noobs, and then we ran against somebody with like good gear, which probably means they crafted like intermediate shit. And it's such a stark difference. Like, we're like, it's like a 3v1, and that guy like whooped all of our asses. Like, we had the drop on him, and it's like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, this is just broken. Like, they need to they need to fix this crafting system and make it more palatable for everybody
Yeah.
else. But
It seems like the crew is generally enjoying it though, overall.
yeah, I feel like we do with any game. Well, like, if you get like 4 or 5 people, like, you can have fun with your friends. Like,
Yeah.
I've always looked at like video games at this point as more of like a chat interface for me and my buddies, more
Yes.
than a game at this point. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
What about you? How you been? What's going on with you this week?
Yeah, man. So I decided to. One thing that I noticed, just for myself, I just kind of had one of those moments where you're sitting there and you don't feel like playing anything, but you want to play something, you know? So I'm looking through like
Yeah,
my Steam library, I'm looking through other things, and this is like on a stream day, and I was like, you know, my favorite genre has been FPSs, but I haven't played like a competitive FPS in probably 3 to 4, 5 months. You know, I was like, I want to do this. I want to get back into one, and then I was like, I might as well like stream progress, right?
yeah, going through an
So
FPS drought.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And the problem is like, you know, I like people go, oh yeah, my taste in FPS is boomer games, you know, like Quake, Unreal,
Apex Legends,
Halo, you know.
Fortnite.
Yeah, yeah. So then I was looking at like the newer games, you know, going, what speaks to my sensibilities
It
enough
speaks to your soul.
to where I can latch onto it, you know, like the initial option was just to jump back into CS, right? And then I was like, no, that's like the easy way out, you know. And I was like, if I'm doing it for the stream, I want to show like just how much better I get from like month 1 to month 2, you know. So I landed on Valorant. I'm learning that game. I'm streaming that game. First stream was definitely rough, but
bunch of tryhards in that game, dude. I only had bad experiences playing Valorant.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. And I gotta say though, I'm enjoying it.
I have it on my desktop right now. It's just
man.
I don't like that the client where they like it's always running in the background.
Yes.
It's pretty fucking annoying. Like if you close it out, like you can't open up the game. You have to restart your whole computer.
Yep. I get that from an anti-cheat perspective. Yeah.
But
people have said it's Chinese spyware because, you know, Tencent is Riot's parent company, and it may be, but I have to say,
like everything at this point is spyware on your computer.
Right.
Like,
I have to say,
it's
though,
not just the Chinese government doing this.
It's everything.
It's everything. Like Discord, it's like recording this somewhere. Like
you have a cell phone, everything's always listening to you, all that. But you know,
we're talking about Space Jam, and then I looked on like my YouTube, like right after we said like start talking about it, like everything was Space Jam and Ninja Turtles, bro. Like, and I was like, how did they know? I was like, maybe it's because they're always listening.
Always. But yeah, I found that like the thing with going from CS:GO to Valorant, and Intoxicated Fable has led me onto the meme of this is where CS:GO players go to retire, which is probably true. But the thing is, like, the game is different enough where I have to shake my CS habits, like hard peeking for one, like bullet stop or whatever. So if you peek and you get shot, you're like stuck in place. With CS, you can kind of bounce back and forth and not get your head taken off. So that's some of the things. And I was an entry fragger in Counter-Strike, so just the pick and pops or whatever from the difference in how to do that in Valorant and this, and then learning all the abilities because it is kicker centric. Like the first day, I'm like, what are all these fucking colors on my screen? And then I'm used to it, and I'm getting spray patterns.
I would say Valorant is an exercise in patience. It's
yes.
Like, do you have more patience than a 13-year-old?
Yeah, and it's one of those.
If you do, you could be great at that game.
Yeah. But overall, I'm enjoying it. I'm definitely gonna stick to it for quite some time. It's the first FPS in a long while that I actually have to sit down and learn. So, and I haven't had that experience in a long time. Like with the multiplayer one, because like we've all know, I've played Doom Eternal, stuff like that. So. I'm still playing things. It's just as far as multiplayer and competitive.
Did you pay money to unlock like all the characters?
No. I decided to grind it out.
Grind it out.
I bought the battle pass for stuff just for like a nice cosmetic drip. Doesn't matter, man. Like the game is free. Right? I took your adage, right?
Yeah.
I took your adage of how many hours of fun am I getting per dollar, and I'm like
dollars per hour.
Yeah, dollars per hour. So I was like, it's $10 for the season pass. I get some cosmetics to reward me playing, and I looked through the cosmetics. I'm like, some of these look cool, so I get so. I adapted a more friendly approach to it, because before I was just like, nah, I never pay for anything. Like back in the day when we played League of Legends, it took me probably a good year of playing that game before I actually spent money on it. And I'm like, well, this game gave me a year of enjoyment. I can throw a couple of bucks.
Yeah, you're like, I have thousands of hours into this. Like,
yeah,
they're like they're scamming me by me having to give them like $8. Like it seems like a good deal to me.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah,
it's weird. It's weird shifting like that mindset of like supporting the things that you enjoy. Like,
yes. So that's been what I've been on lately is Valorant, and I told people in the Psychedelic Savage Discord that I was playing some Valorant and stuff, and then everyone was like, "Oh shit, really?" I was like, "Yeah," and everyone's kind of I put the feelers out, and it seems like people are interested to try the game again. And
those motherfuckers, those savages, always be like. I'll be like, they always mention Valorant like every once in a while. They're like, hey, let's play Valorant. And we're like, yeah, we should. And then nobody ever does, dude. It's one of those games that they'll be like, oh, instead you want to play like Apex Legends or something. I'm like, fuck. Yeah, all right. So we all ended up playing Crowfall, dude. Like,
happens. I actually ended up downloading Apex Legends because of Mr. Butterball who was saying that the arena mode was pretty good, and it's getting like
It's
some
it's a
competitive
lot of
stuff.
like
So
it's like a bootleg Counter Strike. Like it's not great.
yeah, I'm okay with
Uh,
that.
yeah, yeah. Like so, you could say the same thing about Valorant. Like I think we touched
Yeah.
on this when I was talking about like when I played their mode,
Yep.
uh, where it just because it has a buy screen doesn't mean it's Counter Strike or like it doesn't mean it's like
Yes.
team based style game.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I don't
Yep.
know, man. Like they're fine. Like all these games are fine. I would say like I've been thinking about like going deep, kind of like you, where I'm like maybe I should like play Apex Legends like more serious,
Yeah.
just because these kids were like trying to clown on me, and I'm like, you have no fucking idea the shitstorm I could bring. Like if I
You
just
don't
like
know who I am.
you don't know, I'm like John Wick, like just
Yeah.
give me a fucking like week to like get used to this, dial in my like settings here, like I will fuck up everything in this game. Like I will make this
Yeah.
game not fun for me and you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're just gonna be watching me clicking heads from across the map and be like, how did you do that? It's like, yeah, it's skill, kid. Like
Yeah.
there's
Yep.
levels to this game.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep. For sure.
so Valorant's that for you? Like where
That the
they killed
Valorant's
your dog and
you
tried to
know,
steal your car?
not yet, but it will get to that point. You know, it'll get to that point. And I think for me too, it's nice as you know,
You're gonna learn
a
the
small
call
streamer.
outs, the spots.
Yeah, as far as being a small streamer and stuff too, it's like when I first started streaming, and not a lot of people know this, and actually the people who follow me on Twitch don't know this, but I initially started streaming before kids to stream Counter Strike, because at that point I was climbing. I had reached LEM at that point, Legendary Eagle Master, which I can't remember like the distribution anymore because I'm not in that, but it was like I think third highest rank, maybe fourth, and you know I was still climbing, still winning games and stuff, and one of the mods on my channel is a buddy of mine, Sunshine, goes we worked together in real life, and we're sitting there, and we had like played CS till like 4 a.m. and then went to work like 4 hours later, you know.
Yeah.
And he's like dude, why don't you stream it? I was like, he's like, you're fucking good at this thing, man. He's like, whenever we're spectating you, it's fun to watch, just stream it. And I was like, you know what, you're right. And then I've never streamed Counter Strike. It's the funniest thing. I got OBS, got like signed up for Twitch, all of that stuff, and Mr. Butterball was streaming H1Z1,
Oh
and
damn.
I
The
jumped in
throwback.
with him, and then you know playing with the as you said, playing with the boys is fun. So I would just jump in with him on that game. So then, like, that's kind of where I got my start. And then I burnt out on that game, and then went to Retro, and then Fighters, and then like my daughter was born, so I did Rocket League and a bunch of other stuff. So I like there hasn't been a time where I sat and streamed a competitive FPS in that. And then from my background, which is incredible, I've never streaming a competitive FPS when I actually did like tournaments for FPS games. Did tournaments for Quake, did tournaments for Halo, did tournaments for, you know, stuff like that. I'm just like, why? Why did I do this? And I so it's one of those things where I feel just probably a missed opportunity from doing it when I was actually super into it, but you know, like you live, you learn, you grow as a person,
I also feel
refine
like
yourself in gaming.
when you're playing like at the highest level too, like a fraction of like a frame counts. like so
Yeah,
it's like if you don't have like the proper like setup for like
but
capturing
back
like
then I didn't. Yeah,
yeah, where like you're gonna suffer, like you're gonna be a worse player because you're trying to capture like your video game footage. Like I even like had this problem with like art where I was like, oh, I should stream art, but I was like doing 3D stuff. And I was like, I needed a second computer just to capture the first computer when I'm doing, because it's taking up too much memory and like processing power just
yeah,
for like rendering shit on screen. People are like, oh yeah, you should stream this stuff more. And I'm like, I can't, dude. Like my computer's just like
because not
a
there.
potato. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like, I could get like a second computer with a capture card, but like it's fucking going to a whole other level for like for
yeah,
what I'm doing. Like to stream to my like 8, 10 people that are on here, it's not worth like that level of investment. But
yeah. And I talked to a really good friend of mine, Poison. He primarily streams Dead by Daylight, and he's chose to focus on that game, and it's great growth, and he's
Huge.
He's been doing like
Yes.
bananas, and his content has been great. And he's talking to me. He goes, "Dude, you're good at streaming." He's like, "Why don't you just fucking choose a game, you retard?" I'm like, "All right." He's like, I was like, "Good point." He wasn't as harsh as that, but that's kind of,
Like, honestly, I feel like the bottom of the streaming platforms are like falling out. As soon as like Twitch added like hot tub streams, like I'm like, all right, well, I think this is played out at this point. When you saw like Mixer die, we saw like the other like a bunch of streaming services like all die out. Like YouTube has one, but like everyone I talk to, they're like, I have no idea how to get to that. And I would say it's used to like a younger audience. Like if you wanted to like stream Roadblocks or something, like you go on YouTube and you become like have millions of viewers, bro.
For
like,
Roblox, yeah. But that's what I've been up to, man. And it's funny because like I said, FPS being my favorite genre. Like even on my Twitch stream, I said FPS fighters. Everything else basically FPS fighters, roguelikes. I've been mostly playing fighters and roguelikes, with roguelikes probably being the top right now. And getting back into FPS feels good. It really does.
The Akuma of FPS.
right. So yeah, man, that's what I've been up to, and I've been making it a point to open my gaming sphere up to whatever the boys are playing, to just jump into that too if I can get over it. Like the MMO you guys are playing, Crowfall, I'll watch, I'll chill. I just don't like MMOs like that, as I've said on previous episodes too. It's just
I had this dude, like, you ever run into somebody that's like super eccentric? And you're just like,
never. Yeah,
okay.
No, I have, of course.
Well, I went into this guy and I was like, I was talking about like a popular song to him. It was like, it's on the radio. They're like, oh, I've never heard that song before. And I was like, oh, never. It's like, it's pretty big. It's a big song. It's like on the radio and stuff. It's like a top 10 banger.
Yeah.
And they're like, music's not my thing, man. And I'm like,
music just happens. Yeah, right.
Not your thing. He's like, yeah, I've just never been into it. And I was like, is it religious or something? Like, he was just like, nah, it's not my thing, lost, bro. Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? And I was just like, I see what you're doing, and I'm not going to engage. I was like, fair, good for you. And then I just like walked away. I was like, I don't want to. I don't know, man. Like, I feel like music is so ubiquitous in culture that it's fucking weird.
Life,
like,
man.
You have to go out of your way not to hear music. So I don't know. I was like, is this person like deaf or something? Like, I didn't want to get into his like nitty gritty. I think he was just a normal, able-bodied person who just fucking. They're like, music's just not my thing. So I'm saying like that can happen any moment, dude.
Yeah, that's true. So today in this episode is our 25th season finale.
Boom, like, subscribe, share.
You know what that means, man? I just realized 25 hours of us just shooting the shit with each other.
It's not that much.
It's over a day. It's over a day of talking.
I feel like this is the most we've talked to each other in life.
It probably is. Like, it's always been great conversations,
camera.
It's all there. Yeah. So it's like one of those things where we capture great conversations in in a medium. It's like, and also we can't, like, whenever we see each other in life, we can't bullshit and go, no, you said that. No, I said that. It's like, it's on. You like, got the receipts.
Like a record, for the record. Yeah, man. I was just talking with somebody about this the other day, where I was like, I feel like we finally got into our groove of like really like having a good conversation, like on camera. I feel like the first few episodes were like super rough, and I was like, it feels like just like we finally got to that point where it's like, man, this is amazing. Like, the time's flying, like just having a great time, like shooting the shit with your buddy, like.
Definitely.
Like, it definitely felt like I would say you more than me have had problems like getting into that mode where you're just like more relaxed on camera. And I was like, it doesn't make sense. This guy streams, he's doing it big, but like somehow when you have a conversation with another person, like just it's coming off stilted. We can say that now. I think lessons learned.
I think so the first like probably 4 episodes. So as far as streaming, it's just me. It's me worrying about me, and like jumping in and having like the 1-to-1 conversation. I had to like really work on not talking over you.
Same,
Yeah, so I think that was one of the learning, exactly like we're doing. You know, it's learning to when to interject, and despite like streaming, and I've done like acting things that I've shared on the stream too, and uh, it's this is a different medium, you know, like it really is. I think it's harder to jump into than a lot of people realize. It's literally not just us hitting record and then just talking. There's setup involved. There is, like, when we first decided to do this, figuring out how the RSS feed works, figuring out how YouTube can play nice with us, things like that.
Like a distribution platform. I said, like from my studies, I feel like we're getting to the point now where we're going to start hitting bigger growth for like the algorithm, like recommending our channel to people. Like it seems like it's kind of slowly doing that now. Where I was looking at, I was like, oh, this looks like 10% of the people who find our channel is from like YouTube recommending it. Whereas,
that's awesome.
like,
yeah,
it's hard, dude. Like, it's a bit of a grind. It's like it's not really tangible, and I don't know. I feel like we should have probably touched on this when we were talking about like game jams and stuff, where it's like you can do like everything really good to like a high level and still not be like ultra successful, but like you have to like take the love of the craft of doing the thing as success. Like, I don't let like some arbitrary number or society like define what being successful is. I think like doing the thing can be success, like in itself, like depending on what your objectives are, what your goals are. Because like I break things down like all the time for when I'm doing like a side project. I'm like, if I'm going to turn this into a business, like what does minimum wage pay, and like is the side project making more or less money than minimum wage? Because like if it's not, just go get a second job, but like where you can make that money. Like somebody will pay you
to do. I think that the love for it can overrule the money you make, right? Like I enjoy streaming, I enjoy doing this, it's something where I'm having a good time doing it, so I'm gonna keep doing it, it like, for me anyway, that's kind of how I work. I'm like, am I having fun? If I'm having fun, then I'm always gonna do it, and
that decision branch tree.
If I'm not having fun, then there's no point in doing it. And when I mentioned before, when we hit episode 10, right, we lasted longer than like 70% of all podcasts that start. And
already made it.
And if anything, I feel our camaraderie has gotten better. Our
you have a legacy, dude.
And I think episode 10, that was the episode where we pitted games against each other, modern versus retro, and where we've proven that to ourselves anyway, that we can disagree, and not be salty with each other. Because I think I've listened to some other
episodes, dude.
I've listened to some other podcasts and stuff, especially like when it's between friends, where there are, like, I listen to some movie podcasts, and these guys don't agree on movies. And there was like a good 4-week period over Indiana Jones where these guys didn't even produce an episode, and I'm like, what the fuck? You guys disagreed on like, I'm sure you've had this conversation before the podcast, right? But like the argument got so heated where they just
had to take a break.
They didn't want to talk to each other, right? Like,
can't you just agree to disagree? Like,
right.
I don't know. Like I said, like I ran into that music eccentric, and I was just like, good for you. And then like I didn't engage because I knew, I was like, this conversation isn't gonna like, if like this was a grown ass person, it's like, I'm not gonna convince you. Like,
that music's good.
Somebody in your life you've ran into where they're like, oh, listen to this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain people where you're just like, you know what? Fair. Like, you can be into your own thing in your own world, and for whatever reason, like, never get into music, I guess. Like,
like, you never watched a movie with the soundtrack? Like, what the fuck?
I'm gonna talk shit about you, like, but not to your face. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, this is
just on a public platform.
Just on a public path. Yeah, dude. Like, blow up their spot. What the fuck is wrong with you? You don't like, you're not into music, bro? What?
It's like, I feel that way because, I guess this is a gaming podcast and stuff, but I think my a very close second love of mine is definitely movies, and like I think it's come up here. Time there's been like little leak out of movies that I've watched, and just how many movies I've watched. Like my collection goes from my Blu-ray collection upstairs goes from the years 1930 to today. Like I just like all kinds of film, and it doesn't matter the genre. Yes, definitely. I would consider myself that. So it's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I watched this movie. I was like, you should watch it. Like I've run into someone who goes, I don't like watching movies. I'm like, it just doesn't compute in my brain, right?
Like,
I'm just
like a whole like a spectrum of movies, bro. Like
yeah,
everything.
like what?
Anything good?
I fucking own documentaries as well, right? Like it doesn't like I'm like there's something for everyone. It's just like it's like music to me, It's like there's something for everyone. How the hell do you miss out on this whole medium?
I would say like I'm more understanding for video games because there's a skill to it, and it's like if you don't have like a good hand-eye coordination, the time to like dedicate to it, like I would say the same thing for like picking up a sport. Like if you're like, yeah, baseball's not my thing, bro. I'm like, I get it. Like it's not everybody's like gonna like be able to hit like home runs or like field the bases or like pitch a ball or catch a ball. Like there's skill to it and there's time required to get like better at it to like get to an enjoyable level.
Okay.
Whereas like passive things like art, like music, movies, like pictures, like you're just like, yeah, nah, fuck that shit. Like, that's not for me, bro. It's like you don't like pieces of art, dude. Like that's weird. Like I know, like a lot of times people try to elevate video games to art. I would say that it's not because there's like a skill gap. Like you have to have some sort of engagement, and like there's definitely pieces of art or media that engages you, like where you have to like move around like a gallery or like and physically like to appreciate it. Or interact with something.
I would strongly disagree with that. I think games themselves are art, and like we said before, art all speaks to you in a different way.
I'm going to disagree, dude. I'm going to say like
I'll say not every game requires the dexterity to play it, though. You have the RPGs, you have adventure games, you have
visual novels.
Visual novels, exactly. Having a story that speaks to you, like on a personal level, it is art, and I think games have art in it. There's a horror game that's an indie horror game, and I can't remember it right now. If anyone in the comments know what it is, please link it because I played it probably 2 years ago.
Sports art then,
but
I'll dodgeball art.
I'll get to that. So I think that with games though, like there's it hits you in so many different ways. It can hit you musically, and I think we all know music's art. It can hit you story wise, and I think like a lot of the great literature, that's definitely art. It can hit you visually, like Flower. We've spoke about a bunch of times. Flower is 100% like representative of classic art. That game is gorgeous. It's gorgeous in motion. It's gorgeous in screenshots. It's like Flower is one of those things. And then to that point, Journey was made by the Flower devs, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but Journey, it speaks to you because when you're playing it, another person's playing it, joins your world, you have no way of communicating with that person, but you strive to the same goal. Journey will 100% pull and bring out your faith in another human being to help you complete this goal. There's so many experiences with gaming that's positive and can affect you on a deeper level. Like I've said before, one of my favorite, and this game itself isn't even that great of a game, but Prince of Persia 2008 was one of my favorite game endings of all time, and I'm not counting the DLC because the DLC ruined it, but at the end of the game, and the game came out in 2008, so if you haven't played it, I'm going to spoil the shit out of it, so tough shit. But
are you going on from like, are you trying to say life is art, bro? Is that where you're going with this shit? Are you like, life could be art and beautiful if you just engage in it?
No, I'm not going that far, but if that's what you're taking from it, man, sure, sure. If I'm
How
speaking to you in that way,
how
but
dare you?
like Prince of Persia 2008, when you spent the entire game trying to save this woman, and the end of the game, it's like the only way to save the world is to sacrifice her life for the good of the world. But you spent like for me, I was like 18 hours in that game. I spent 18 hours with this person saving her and her saving me and stuff like that. And then the game like just lets you walk around for a bit. The game doesn't end. And I'm like, what the hell? So then your character, when you walk to her, it says pick up. So you pick her up and then you walk out with her. You save her. You save her to spite the world. And then the like big bad in the game like it consumes the world, and that game ends. That was one of those things where I was just like, yeah, I could see it. I could see it. I would do that. Last of Us, the original, kind of does a similar ending to where you spent the entire game with Ellie, and you don't. And then to get a cure for this zombie virus, they have to basically kill her. They have to like go into her brain and figure out why she's immune to the cordyceps virus.
Yeah.
But Joel's like, she's a kid. No one should have to go through this. And he lost his child before, and then he picks her up, really slaughters everyone in that hospital, and just says, "Fuck the world. She deserves to live." And something like that, like speaks to me like a lot harder. The original BioShock, the "Would you kindly" portion, games can like mind fuck you better than most mediums, and it rivals movies in the level of it, especially
the Stanley Parable.
Yeah, exactly. Especially the medium offers new experiences, and you don't need the dexterity to actually experience these things. I've had it to where people have just watched me play games. So games are
art, dude. Yeah, I get it, dude. Like that's
games are art, and I think the U.S. government actually does consider games art because there are video games in the like Smithsonian and other institutes and stuff on display. So I think it's as a industry and as a whole, I think everyone recognizes it as art. It may not be your traditional paintings, books, media. Even movies had to fight through this.
I personally discount it just because of the interactivity part of it. I would say there's definitely interactive media that is set up to be art, but I would say as a whole, like it's more of a passive, not an active thing. If you're gonna say like both can be art, like sure, I guess, but then like you're going into like everything is art at that point, and that's okay as well. Like I wouldn't discount anyone's expression of themselves just because like there's like an extra layer of what you have to do to engage with it.
I think that one of the reasons why people get so upset and animated about people like yourself saying games aren't art is because it comes with a layer of disrespect to the medium. Roger Ebert,
I wouldn't even say
example,
that. Like, I look. Have you seen modern art? Modern art is literally shit. Like, it's in a horrible place. Like, it's like I would say like if you're gonna, I would say like it probably takes a lot less skill and a lot less ability to create traditional art. On like I would say like on both mediums of like film and painting or like digital than it does for the production of like a video game. I would say like high budget like blockbuster movies is probably like the closest thing to like a video game as far as like the amount of like departments and people involved to get something on a screen to people to an end group. Whereas I think people kind of romanticize like things like music and more traditional mediums because it's like a single author presenting their vision, so it's easier to get across like or convey their ideal. Whereas you see this all the time with like bigger movies and stuff where people are like, oh, this isn't great because it just felt bland, blah blah blah. It felt like it was designed by committee, and it's like, yeah, dude, they're in the business of making money. So like a lot of it, like you see this with like Call of Duty, you see this with like people, dunking on like the new Ghostbusters movie where it's like, oh, all these jokes are falling flat, like blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, it is what it is. You see this like with like the new Space Jam movie where they're like, man, this is dog shit. It was written by 6 people. Like, how did 6 human beings sit down and like pen this to paper?
So would you
Uh,
say in indie games, single dev games, small team games are closer to your definition of art than AAA?
I would say most traditionalists would say probably yeah. Like I think that's why like Cave Story was like such a blowout. Like I think it's like why people enjoy like those like smaller games like Flower and stuff, where it's like it's a smaller team with like a bigger artistic vision for uh what they're trying to express and interact with like a single person. Like, but me personally, like I would say like you have to kind of draw the line somewhere, like to like. And for me, I would say it's just more of the passive versus active on my personal ideals of what is like if and it's kind of dishonest like intellectually to be like hey if I can just sit back on a couch and enjoy it then it's art but when you can
Yes.
sit back and enjoy video games and like you could say it's art uh and it's I would say it's like because there's also like exhibits like this as well like in galleries where they ask you to participate in like the piece where they're like
Yeah.
oh like add some like rocks or grains of salt or like paint onto like this wall to like add like your own thing like but man like the, at the same point like you'd be like oh birthday cards art because everybody has to sign their name to it or like a congratulation cards art because we
So
all have to add like our little message to immortalize like how we feel about a particular thing at
so
a point.
I would argue that the fact that you have to create something from nothing for other people to consume and get some sort of, and for games it's enjoyment typically to get something for, I believe that that for me would define it as art. And then to go back to your question earlier of our sports art, no, but I think you can do artful things in the sport space. Like you take Michael Jordan's fadeaway, right? His fadeaway is beautiful to watch. It is a I would argue that it is his fadeaway and the amount that he worked on it is a form of artistic expression
It's like
to
Larry Bird's
for a goal because
jump
it's
shot.
like I'd compare it to ballet. I think, but it's more skilled things. So like
Ballet is
something
an
like
art,
that.
dude.
Wow. All right, all
Come
right.
on, dude.
This
Nobody's
is
talking about ballet, bro. Nobody's bringing that up.
it's one of the classic examples of a modern art form though of movement is art in the human body of what it can do and the story you can tell just through movement that there's an art to that.
I'd say if it's like 1800s, dude, and we don't have TV, sure. Like,
It's that guy you met who's never heard music in his life or doesn't care for it. This dude
it's not my thing,
is
bro.
sitting there with no headphone or with like plugs in his ears
Yeah,
to
dude,
not hear
like
anything, watching ballet.
if I
This
was
man
like, oh,
loves
have
ballet.
you seen like this, newest ballet, like out of like the French school of thought, for like forms, and they're just like, oh yeah, it's not my thing. I'd be more understanding of that than like just music in general, bro. Like, I guess
Well,
sorry,
like
man,
there's
ballet's not my
some
thing.
like there's like some big ballet productions that you could
It's
derive a
cheerleading
story
art,
from it.
bro.
Like, yes, yes, it is. It's a sport, but it's a sport of artistic expression. I would say
I would,
that is.
yeah, I would definitely say it's more of a sport than an art, but
But I think you can combine it. You know, like anything. I think when you get to I think when you try and put things in a box, you find that the box is overflowing. Like you can't
yeah,
really close it. Like people were saying like
life is
let's
art.
take this. Let's go from another episode. I went on a rant, on a bit of a rant about
What is it, man?
Steam's content. Thank you. Steam's content policies, right? I
Yeah.
was saying that like when they're picking and choosing of what's a game, what's not, and then the pornography games that were coming, and
I
Steam
know it
going,
when I see
yep,
it.
yep, yeah, I know it when I see it, and this game, everything's fine up until this game, and I'm like, you can't. I was like, it's your platform, sure, but at some point you can't really pick and choose. You can't say pornography games are okay. You can have a line of like what content's there, but to not have that line established and then just cherry pick things when you can find examples of worse things on your platform, it's incredibly dishonest and there. So in terms of art and
And you see
in the
this with
human
like
form,
the
would
motion.
you say pornography is art?
What me?
Yeah, yeah,
As pornography is art?
yeah.
I mean, I said I was. if I was gonna die on the hill of like video games aren't art, I would definitely say video pornography's art and video games aren't. Like if I'm gonna go on this hill, yeah, dude, I would say like there's actors and there's a camera. Most of the time, there's a script, bro. Like that's art, bro.
I'm talking like print media as well, like just photos and stuff too. I think
Have you seen Pirates XXX, man?
Like, yes, we have.
Come on, bro. You're tell me that's not art? Are you
it's like
serious?
the highest production value, and there's a sequel too, right? Like, like from the spectacle of it was just yeah.
They built real boats.
But I think you can't. I like I said, the box overfills. I don't think you can truly pick and choose and say one's not it over the other. Was my point in that. So going back to things we've spoken about before, things we were going on about.
Also kind of going with like a slippery slope argument too, where it's like you start putting like parameters on your platform, and like you see this with like the Movie Association of America, where like the South Park creators like kind of have like a where they just want to know like what is the line, because like they submitted like Team America and they're like, oh yeah, you can't have like these two dolls without any genitalia like mimicking sexual poses, like that's too far. And they're like, what is it, like where is it, like what exactly are we doing that's like crossing this line? And so like they're kind of notorious for like just putting out as much stuff as
for it. Yeah,
well, they do that because they're trying to figure out where the invisible borders are. They're like, how far is too far? What can we do and what can't we do? Because there's not a good list. And like the list you guys give us, like we'll do stuff within that, and like you're still.
And you're saying it's wrong, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like we're just gonna push things further out just to get into the play box that we want. It's like, I don't think anyone really begrudges these platforms for censoring.
Yeah.
Like what they put on there, but at the end of the day, it's like if they're not on there, they're dead on arrival. So it's not going to be a lucrative production. But
yes,
and like it's kind of the nitty gritty of it. If you're like trying to be an artist and live off like that money, like you gotta know the platform and know your audience that you're pandering to at the end of the day.
True. So one of the things we talked about that I found, our very first episode was about VR, right?
Pink eye.
When that episode came out, I was 3 months into VR, and since then,
it's our biggest episode today. The gangbusters
really?
On that number, dude.
Actually,
tens of thousands of views. The audio video quality is garbage. It's cringy.
Straight garbage. I would love to revisit that topic, just because
people watch that in Guantanamo as torture, dude.
I'm going on to like I'm still playing VR. I've gotten better at it. I've gotten more used to it. I find things that I like that I don't like, stuff like that. I think that like going back, I realized that I'm the one championing VR really hard, and I didn't think that I was, but it's like where art imitates life. I've had friends go, "Hey, should I get VR?" I'm like, "Yes, do it right away. I will buy you games." Yeah. I want that to grow, and if like for me,
I still see a lot of people who are confused about like which they don't want to like buy into the platform. I think that they're scared of that stuff because they're like, "Oh, which do I get?"
Yeah,
because there's so many different possibilities.
There's a lot of oh, I can answer that right now. If you want to dip your toes into it, the Oculus Quest 2 is pretty much your only option.
What about
it's cheap?
If you don't like Facebook?
You like, and you don't want to spend a lot of money, and you don't like Facebook? Shit out of luck. Like, there's no option. Yeah.
You have to make a fake account.
Yeah, I hear they're even cracking down on that. So it's
really
like, yeah, that's what I hear. I don't know if it's true or not because I don't own the Oculus platform. But like for me, you want wireless, you have the Quest 2 or you have the HTC Vive, right? I wanted wireless and I wanted a decent resolution, so I have a Vive product. You want you want probably the best headset. It's probably still the Index, but it's wired. Like there's some trade-offs and stuff that you have to go through. I would say avoid the newly released Vive Pro 3 unless again wireless is your is your goal with a good resolution, but I feel the Vive Pro 3 is overpriced for
Just
what
dip
it
your toe
is.
in the Oculus. What
Yeah, to
about
dip your toe, Oculus. If you really want to go through, I'd say if you don't mind the wire and you have the room for it and you can like mount the wire somewhere, the Index, and it's a grand. But
what about if you already have a PlayStation? Is PlayStation VR all right?
I haven't used it. I honestly haven't. But
My buddies who have had
yeah.
that, they all regretted their purchase, but they bought it like day one type of thing. So
Yeah, it's also the PlayStation VR is also a lot more limited than
yeah,
PC VR is. So
the
I think
resolution's just not quite where it needs
resolutions,
to be.
yeah, yeah. It again the wire. Like I think you're gonna have a better VR experience on PC or just using Oculus than you are on console, which the PS5 VR games coming up should remedy that a bit. But
Yeah,
I do,
especially just because of the better components as well. In the because
yeah.
like the
Its
biggest problem
VR
is
was
like
figured
they're
out too. So
doing two screens. So
that's a big problem. Yeah,
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 so it's like you're basically double rendering everything, and like the PlayStation 4 just wasn't really set up for that. So it's like you had to like down res like the everything from the video
yes,
uh,
yes,
just to get it out like twice as many frames because you're rendering it two times. You're
yeah,
basically
yeah.
playing rendering two versions of the game at the same time.
Yep, yep. So like I think still to this day that VR will is going to continue to grow. I think it's great to get in now on the ground floor because you are at the point where there are solid ass games that you can spend a ton of time on and to not regret your purchase. And there's more to come. There's more advancements coming in the near future. So that I think if you're on the ground floor right now, you're going to be the first to experience this new way of experiencing games. And if you are a futurist or anything and you want to experience what's next, I think VR is a great
it's the
thing to
next
jump
big
into.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, I
It
really
definitely
do.
feels like there's enough money behind it now as well to like push it through like the growing pains.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
I
This is the
just
best foot in to VR that's ever been.
yeah, but they're I still not seeing like the developers all like embracing it yet. It's weird. It's like a chicken egg scenario where they want more users on the platform before they start like going in like the AAA game.
It's
Like
slowly starting though. We've
yeah,
had
the only one I've seen is like Valve really go for it with like Alex and like them pushing like their HTC Vive and stuff. Like uh,
Valve Insomniac has released 3 VR games. Their AAA studio. Respawn did the Medal of Honor game for Oculus, which really was dead on arrival, but it's another AAA studio that worked in VR. So it's happening. It's definitely
yeah,
happening.
I would say like they would be more inclined if there was a lot more people on there. And it definitely seems like big headway for pornography is getting on VR as well. So I'm happy to see that. As we all know, like pornography tends to lead the way on new media. You
Yes.
see it with like DVDs, you see it with Blu-rays, you see
What's
it.
interesting, actually, so pornography chose HD DVD. It's the one instance where pornography picked a platform where that platform didn't win, and I would argue that it's the ability to have free pornography that kind of dictated that. Like
Yeah,
you could just go online and
they,
grab whatever you want, but
they were definitely
HD
early
DVD versus
adopters to
Blu-ray, yeah,
online as well.
yes,
Like pornography was
yes,
first online multimedia presentations as well.
yep,
So
yep. So,
So they're big. They're on VR. I definitely see the big players are in the market, not even hedging their bets. They're planting flags. They're doing land grabs right now. So it's good signs.
yeah, so is there anything that we've covered, Chip, that you've found that you wanted to continue the conversation on, or maybe revisit? Because I think the episode 1 is
Um,
mine because the quality for it was, and we did it, and we were talking over each other a lot. So I would love to, as we've grown, have another discussion around that.
about VR.
No, no,
Is
no,
that
about
good? Oh,
any topic that we've covered in the past for season 1.
uh, that I feel like we left just kind of hanging. That I think about. I would say like I think about a lot of our conversations just like in my free time. Like I'll think back to things, but not any one thing where I'm like, oh, this is like uh, something I want to talk more about. I'll just think about like your points that you brought up in
Got it.
life, just in general. Like I'll just be sitting around like, you could be had a good point there. It'll just be, just living. But yeah, I don't. necessarily think you had like any like super hot takes where I'm like, oh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, if I only had 10 more minutes to talk about like, this. I think we do a great job of really condensing and having like a good viewpoint
Yeah.
in an episode. Uh, I don't think you've ever said anything like super controversial that was. I don't know, man. Like, can't put me on spot. What about you?
To revisit,
Yeah,
I think, as I said, the VR portion, definitely. I think season 2, since we have this platform now, and we had to go through growing pains to decide what exactly we wanted the show about, and we both do game dev on the side, so I'd like to delve more into the game dev aspect of it, but kind of have people who listen or watch us for like the general gaming portion, and then people who are interested in the creative side. I'd like to try and bridge that gap a little more. I thought our game jam episode worked incredibly well. That was one of my favorite episodes, honestly, and it's so recent.
yeah.
But I think for me too, I was a little more vulnerable in that episode too, just kind of discussing like a past failure and things like that. But I think it's one of those things where you can prove that you can bounce back from it.
Yeah. When you lose, don't lose the lesson. It's only
Yes.
the Dalai Lama.
Yeah, dude. So I'd like to, and as we work on both the podcast, our projects, and then stuff like that, I'd like to just kind of document like what we're working on. Like that's why I always will ask you about your generic quest, things like that. And I think at some point we kind of owe our listeners, viewers,
like
however many they be. If it's one person or if it's 1,000 people, like owe you an update. And if you take the time to listen to us and to hear like what we're working on, I think it pains us to just say what we're doing, even if we just drop it. Let's discuss it. I think that's the other thing too. Is just like, don't be afraid to not do something. Just have a reason behind it. I think because for me, it's like
so many hours in the day. Yeah. There's only so much time you have.
Yeah.
There's only so many things you can get done. Like sometimes when you get visited by the good idea fairy, like you just have to let it fly on away from you. Yes. So like you're not going to be able to do. Like, that was like one of the turning points for me. Like when I was thinking about our podcast, it was like early on. And I think it was like around like episode 1 or 2, where I was like, is this something I want to put the best of my abilities into? And I was like, yeah. And I was like smiling and just like walking, at work. And I was like, yeah, it's something I really want to put like my best efforts into doing something enjoyable and like good, like that bears fruit. That's like a fruitful endeavor is not necessarily a measurement in an arbitrary number, like whatever like you assign to. It's like, it doesn't give it value. Like if it's like viewerships or like money, like those are false gods. Like you shouldn't try and chase after, because like you can't, like I said, like if you're gonna chase after those things, like there's definitely better ways to do it. Like if you're looking for money, like you have to have like the measurement of like what's the minimum wage, and then like just go get that job, because like you're gonna like if you're chasing like that money, like just you have to be doing better than that, and like you have to have a time frame and be realistic. If you're chasing viewership, then like you have no control over those things, type of thing. Like it's I don't know, like my buddies we'll talk about like the stock market or something, and like I have like a very just I've gone into super boring investments just because of how turbulent the market has been. Yeah. And so like I'll look at it, I'm like, yeah, it's just an arbitrary number at this point. Like it'll go up, it'll go down. Like I have no control over that arbitrary number, so I'm not going to worry about it. And if I was into a bunch of wild shit, like don't even invest at that point. Just like get all your money in cash in silver.
Yeah.
Like and buy beans, dude. Buy canned beans.
So you know what I just realized as you were talking? My favorite development and improvement we've ever made in the podcast so far in this season 1 is you getting a camera and a microphone.
It's definitely like I would say that even, like episode 5 is when I finally had a new microphone. And then not till recently did I get a new camera. So for a while I was using like my phone. I was like running off of that. Like I don't know, like this is gonna sound like kind of bad, but like I didn't want to invest in the podcast until we had like some episodes because I was like you said, like most podcasts don't really last, and I was like, if we can make it to episode 5, then I'll actually spend some money and get something better. Because like just so often do you start up like some sort of especially like another person was involved. Like it's not necessarily like anything of like that you can control. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's like definitely I've been improving things as we go along because I'm like, oh, this is definitely worth the investment. And even like I said, like it kind of came down to that conversation with myself where I was like, oh, this is something I'm really enjoying and I will put like my best efforts into. So it's worth the investment for me. But it took a couple episodes to fill that out to be like, oh, is this gonna be something I want to drop like a couple $100 on a microphone for?
Yeah, like I know for me, I got a new microphone as well, and like for me, it's like practicing better mic technique because I have a tendency to just not know where the mic was. So now I'm like, fucking put the mic next to my mouth, you know, so you can hear me. So that's one of those things.
I noticed that in like our Game Jam episode when I was editing that. I was like, fuck, my mic controls were really bad. And then I was like, back and forth. I wasn't doing like the one fist away or whatever.
Right. So we're you know, like I said, everybody, we're improving. We're improving each episode. We'll get there. We'll get there.
So yeah, man. Where is there though, man? Like, you know, we're doing the thing, bro. We're already on it.
We keep moving the goalposts, man. Bro. You always, there's a carrot and a stick, man. Carrot, you never get that carrot. You know?
We're laying down tracks as we like as we're on the rails, man. We're making it happen.
Happens, man. So yeah, man. So this is time really did fly.
I thought we were gonna talk about like all the past episodes. You said you had like a highlight reel.
I did. I don't. I did. You know, I'm editing this one. I've got to like right here. I'm just gonna go, you know, cut, and then when we do our sign off, I'm just gonna show like each clip in like a sepia tone,
like all like of them at once.
Yeah. So yeah, man. That's.
How do you feel about that? Because I've thought about doing this, but I didn't want to do it without your approval. Where I want to do like highlights for the week. I was gonna call them chip clips, where like I take like funny moments and then like I take like not necessarily from one episode, but maybe a couple, where it's like a highlight and it's like only like a minute or two long of like some of the funnier moments, and then put that on the channel.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that sounds great.
Yeah, you're all right with chip clips.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
Not do that, but I've thought about it several times.
Yeah, no, I think whatever goes to improving it, just like go for it. You know, improves traffic or whatever. If it's just like loaded on Twitter or whatever, you know, TikToks.
I think like I think the algorithm saw that TikTok was a big thing, so they're like, how can we do that? So they start favoring like 2 minute, 1 minute long media.
True.
Because they're like, people have no attention span. These children only have 7 seconds. You have to get them in.
Exactly. But yeah, man. Yeah, to season 1, 25 episodes in the bag. Feels good. Season 2, we can only get better. And I think one of the things too is like now that like we've started this in the height of the pandemic to now where we can, you know, freely chat with each other. So I'd love to.
Where the hell have you been?
I think the thing is to get a setup to where we can do this in person and have the audio sound good. So that's the next step. So you guys,
we talked about renting out conference rooms the other day.
Yeah. So you guys will be on the ride with us and watch the growth.
Did I tell you about this on the podcast where I had eaten enough Uber Eats where they're like, you get a free conference room. They're like, you can rent out like a month of WeWorks like for free because you've had enough fast food. And I was like, I need to stop ordering out food. Fuck Uber Eats, dude. This is garbage.
Yeah, that's funny. That is super funny. But yeah, man, we'll figure it out. We'll get it going. So yeah, man. So 25 episodes for Chipped Monk. I'm Mr. Gimpy.
1,000 more.
It's 2,000 more. We're on Apple Podcasts now, so we are on every podcast platform.
Do the lead out again. I fucked that up.
You did.
Yeah.
I'm not editing that either.
No, you just go like, I'm Mr. Gimpy, and I'm like, I'm Chip Monk. Here's to 1,000 more.
Yeah.
And then you're like, in caviar.
All right. I'm Mr. Gimpy, and
I'm Chef Monk. Wait, shit, bro. What?
no, just keep going. Just
You're
keep going.
adding to it. No,
No,
go ahead.
no.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm Mr. Gimpy.
I thought you were gonna add something there.
No.
Last time you tried to add something.
No,
there.
I'm not doing it. No. I'm Mr. Gimpy.
Chef Monk, here's to 1,000 more and caviar.
Like, share, subscribe, hit that bell.
Follow.
You bitch.
Boom.